Hey, welcome to RootsTech 2021. My name is Mark Gallons. I am a UX designer on a family tree. I've been on this project since Family Tree started, and it's been a wonderful ride to be able to see where we've been and where we're at now and where we're going. And as we talk about where we're going, myself and my partner here, Ryan Plum, who will introduce himself here really quickly, are going to show you some new features, some that have been rebranded and improved upon, and some new ones. So with that, Ryan, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Ryan Plum. Like Mark, I'm a user experience designer here at FamilySearch on the family tree. This is definitely a different experience for us. Normally, we're live at the FamilySearch booth in the expo hall, but we're excited to be here and talking about hopefully some of the improvements that we've made to help you in your genealogy, to do the work that you love as well as we love as well. So thanks for being with us.
I appreciate that, Ryan. Yep, we do miss the expo hall. That's been always a fun experience for us, but we'll see how we can do with this, and hopefully it'll be a help for you, and you'll get excited about what we're about to show you. So let me share my screen here. Hopefully this will work.
Yes, we can see it now.
All right. Okay, I have logged into FamilySearch. Just a quick, brief intro for those of you that may not be too familiar with FamilySearch, particularly Family Tree. It is a public tree, and as you log in and you go to your pedigree, you're going to see yourself, and you can add in living people. But once you add in those living people and you connect with your deceased ancestors, all of those deceased ancestors are public and they're open to everybody, and it's one tree. So if we are related and you connect into my tree, if I make a change, you'll see that change. If you make a change, I'll see that change. It's a public, open tree. And so with that concept in mind, let's go ahead and come to the screen here, and I'll show you. As you can see, I'm logged in here at the top right. Over here, we have our main menus, and we're going to be specifically talking about this menu right here, Family Tree. And I'm going to go to a person page. And this is a page that will be you. I've set it up so that it's going to go to my great-great-grandfather, Hugh Sidley Gallons. If I wanted to go see the tree, I can click on tree right here, and I can see Hugh's tree, whether it be in a fan chart or a landscape view from left to right. As you can see, Hugh's right there and his wife Betsy. I can show it in a portrait orientation with Hugh and Betsy, with his ancestors above and hers, and their descendants, their children. But what we're going to talk about today, in the short time that we have, are these two new menu items. Those of you that are familiar with Family Tree, you'll remember we've always had the tree and that person page that you've already seen. Those recent people that you've touched or you've looked at in the tree. You can go find people in the tree. And then we used to have a word here that used to be called watch and watching. This is one of the things that I mentioned before about rebranding. We have changed the word watch to be more in line with what's out there in social media today, the term following. And what is following? If I click on following, I have gone out and for whatever reason, I've decided that I want to follow people in my tree. And you can see I have a list of people here that I'm following. Why is it that I want to follow people? One of the things about a public open tree, and things that we've heard from you, is that a lot of good research has been done. You've been able to find records, and you've sourced individuals like my great-great-grandfather, Hugh Sidley Gallons. I may have found his birth record. I've put in a birth date from him based on that birth record and his birthplace. I've really done a lot of good work on Hugh Sidley Gallons. If anybody comes in now and changes one of those conclusions about Hugh. If I am following Hugh, I'll be notified of that change. So let's see if we can.
So Mark, real quick question.
Yeah.
How do I add someone to this list?
I'm going to show you that. Great question.
Okay.
Let's go back to that person page. And here's Hugh. There's multiple ways I can do it, but let's just kind of go through a couple of them. Here I'm on Hugh's page. Over here in the header, you'll see following. That means that I am following him right now. If I were to come down to maybe one of his siblings, John Gowans, and click on his person card or his name, and it brings up the person card, you'll notice in the person card too, I've got a link there that says follow. Now that means if I hover over it, to be notified of any changes to this person, click follow. So I'm currently not following John Gowans. So if I click that link, it would change to following, and it would put him in my list like this. Boom, following, and I got a little thing down here. You are now following John Gowans. Learn more. So now I'm following John. So if I come over to following, and right now it is sorted by last name. So if I came down to the Gowans, here we are into the Gowans now, and I can see all these Gowans. You can see I'm following quite a few. And there's Hugh Sidley that we've talked about, and there's John Gowans that I just added. Now I've added John Gowans. I don't know very much about John Gowans. And like I said, one of the main user intents, one of the main reasons why we want to follow people is if people have made changes, we want to be notified about them. But I haven't really done much with John Gowans. So why is it that I now have put John Gowans on my list? Well, I've got a lot of work to do with John Gowans. I've got to go start the research process. So with Hugh Sidley Gowans, because he's on the list, I want to be notified of changes. But with John Gowans, my main intent now is to do more work on him. So with the following feature, we've added a brand new little nice golden nugget of a feature to go along with the following feature. You'll notice our 3 dots here. We like to call this our kebab, but it's kind of an overflow menu for John Gowans. I can click on that, and you'll notice a menu will come up. I can unfollow John if I don't want to follow him anymore for whatever reason. But I've also got this add label. What is add label? If I click on add label, there's a curated list there of items as to why maybe you put this person on your list. And for me, and for John Gowans at this time, I need to do more research for him. And so I'm going to come down here to this list, and I'm going to click on researching. And when I do that, I'm going to put in a note that is going to be a reminder for me as to why I am following John Gowans. And you'll notice up here, I'm going to add a label, and it says here, labels are private, only seen by you. So no matter what you put in here in this note, only you will see it. And I'm going to put in here, I need to start from the very beginning to research John Gowans. And I'm going to save that label. So now,
that's pretty powerful, Mark.
What's that?
Quick, sorry to interrupt. That's pretty powerful to be able to do that. Would you mind maybe bringing up that list of labels again so we can maybe spend a second and look through all of those?
I think that's great. So you'll notice right here, John Gowans, just to show you, now has this label below him called researching. And if I click on that label, it shows me John Gowans, shows me that it's the researching label, and I get to see that note. And one of the things that I love about that is sometimes when I add people in from census records, I've got multiple people that I need to do research on. I need to do research, I need to find maiden names, lots of different things that I can put into that note. But thank you, Ryan. Let's go back and look at that list. If I were to come back and say add label, because I can do more than one label, I could add another label. to John Gowans. I might start my researching and then I might get stuck. So with that, we have these different types of labels actively changing. Maybe this is somebody that we've got a lot of people working on, this particular person, and it's actively changing. That may be a reason why I'm putting it on there, to see those changes and to be notified. I might be completed. For example, back to Hugh Sidley Gowans. I've spent years working on Hugh, and I have attached every source imaginable, and so have many other people, for that matter. But because he's so completed, his quality is so good, and this idea of, people not really changing this stuff now because it's so good, that I want to be notified of Hugh. And so with that in mind, I want to be notified if any changes are made to Hugh. So I would choose completed. Maybe this is an end of line, and I need to do more research as to finding those outward generations. Maybe this is somebody I'm just interested in. This is one where I'll use if I may not be tied to them, they may not be related to me, but I was really good friends with them, or they may have lived close to me. We found a lot of users are just interested in a person for whatever reason, but they may not be related to them. And then, of course, we've got researching, which is now grayed out because it's currently on John. And I might be stuck with a hard research problem, and I want to be able to remember as to why I'm stuck. And then, Ryan Plum, and to all of you out there, we've allowed you to be able to go and create your own labels. Maybe I just put in here fake person just to be able to show it to you. But if I click create label, I can come in and type in anything I want. This, we'll say, how about red beards? And then I can click that create label, and then it could be applied to whoever I want to apply it to. I won't add that here.
So now my question is, does John really have a red beard?
Not a whole lot of redheads in my family. But this really does now become a very powerful thing, not only as a reminder with my notes as to why I put it in there, but now that I'm on this page, I can come over here and I can sort. So if I'm coming in today to be able to do research, I can click on this options button up here in the top right, and I can come in here and I can filter by label, and we only show the labels that are currently on my list. And here's researching. So if I click researching, now I'm only going to show the people over here in the list that I'm currently researching. And you'll notice that John Gowans is a part of that list because I put researching on him, and I'm going to click on him, and I'm going to see that note as to why I put him on here. Maybe this would have been a female, and I need to find the maiden name. So really good notes in here as to why this person's here, what it is that you were doing, what you need to research. That's what that note is all about. And then once again, as I'm researching this person, if I find some things, I can come in here and edit it and say, yep, found the maiden name, and now I'm going to add this. I'm going to do this kind of stuff. I need to attach more records. I need to go out there and find more records to attach to this person so I can create those sources to put in a birth date or a death date or a death place, those types of things. So you can create labels, you can edit labels, and then if for whatever reason you're not interested in following John or anybody else, you can come in and say unfollow. And if I do that, then John will be taken off my list. I get a message here that says you are no longer following John Gowans. And we do give you a quick little undo here if you made a mistake, and you can put him back on your list.
So with that question, Mark, real quick,
if
you go back to those labels for me, I noticed something. It says labels are private and they're only seen by you. Do you think you could explain that a little bit?
Yeah, we talked about that just briefly. You might have some very sensitive information, and we started out by talking about how the tree is a very public tree, and it's open by it's open to anybody to be able to edit whatever. But in this following feature, this is a list of just people that I am following. Nobody else can see this list of people that I'm following. This is your list. This can't be modified by anybody else. This is your workspace. And so that's what we're doing here, is we're calling out that this is a private area, and these labels that you're creating for each person with the notes that might have some sensitive information in them is private to you. So whatever you type in there, only you will see. Nobody else will see those labels or those people that are on your following list. Everybody can see Hugh Sidley Gowan's out in the tree, but if I click on following and I come to my following list, it's truly my list of people that I'm following. Does that make sense, Ryan?
Yeah, that makes lots of sense. So not only is this a list of really people I'm interested in following for whatever reason, whether I'm researching, but it almost now kind of begins to act a little bit like a research log for me.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool. That's very cool.
And one more thing with those created labels while I'm in here that I failed to mention, I created this fake person one. So if I came over here, okay, so if I, we might have something that we need to look at. Let's do this again. Oh, that's what it is. I just learned something too. I created a label called fake person, but I removed that label from that person. So what I can do now is I can come into this list and I can say, you know what? I don't have any fake person labels in my filter by label because I removed that person. I don't follow that person anymore. So I can come in here and I can click this X and I can delete that label. So now I don't have any labels that I have created, but I can go back in now and create a new one if I want. This list is always permanent. This is our list that we have created based on usability studies and talking with users why they put people on their list. And I think that we have a pretty complete list, but for whatever reason, people will want to create their own labels. One thing that we did here is they may want to create labels based on family names, like Gowans, like LeSueur, Broomhead. And so they might create family surnames for their labels. That was one of the main reason, user intents, why we allow people to create new labels.
So here's another question then, Mark. If I create a custom label, if you go back to James, there.
Create.
And I create maybe an Adamson label.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
We'll call this the Adamson
line. We can say this is the Adamson family line.
So I'll say create. So now
let's say I add that now.
Okay. So if I want to click on that, I'm going to say this is my first person in the Adamson line that I have added to my tree. He was in the town of Arbroath, Scotland, when Hugh was living there. I need to find the rest of his family. Save. Okay.
So now let's say could I filter on that custom label?
Bet you can. You bet your bottom dollar you can.
That's great.
I click on options here.
There it is.
I can create a filter by label, and I'll click on Adamson line, and there's the one Adamson. And now that I'm starting that line and I'm starting to find his family members, I'll add that custom label to all of those so that now I can click on Adamson line, and if I've got 7 or 8 in there, they're all going to come up and I'll have my nice little notes there as to what I need to do for each one as I bring up that label. Great question.
So is that note then that you did for Adamson label, is that specific to James Adamson?
No.
Or is that going to appear on all the Adamson lines?
It will not. Let's go back. Let's go filter by all, and let's just pretend that Janelle Barney was the spouse of James Adamson.
I have a Barney in my line. We might be related.
Well, that's true. Actually, I can tell, though, that I'm already interested in this person, so I'm not related to this person, but we'll pretend that for now.
There we go.
But I'm going to say add label, and I'm going to go to the Adamson line, and you'll notice now I have a new note field that isn't the old one, because it's specific now to this Adamson person that married into that Adamson line. So there are different reasons as to why I want to put this label now on her than it was James.
So I get to add a new note every time now.
That's correct. Yep.
So I can get really detailed then with
same label, new notes.
Okay.
Yes. So you know what, Ryan? Those were great questions. We have been told that we would like to keep these videos, taped recordings, to about 20 to 25 minutes. So I'm going to now turn the time over to Ryan, and Ryan's going to show you a other new feature that's just been shipped not too long ago. And Ryan, I'll turn the time over to you.
Sounds great. Thank you, Mark. That was super informative. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to pick up a little bit where Mark is left off on the following page. So you can see, if you look at our menu, I'm on following, but we've also been working on a feature, and some of you may have seen it lately, called My Contributions. It's right there. And if I click on this, it's going to take me, as it loads here, to a page of all the things that I've actually contributed to Family Tree. And so we can come through this list, and right now, if we're looking how this is sorted under options, I'm viewing by person. So I can see all the contributions I have made to Charles Merlin Plum, to Danielson Byrne Barney. There's that last name Barney again, Mark, for our potential relatives.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, we have Glenn Roberts Hunt, and I can follow this list down, and I can see, okay, for George Clinton Bradburn, I changed a couple event. For Thomas Moriarty, I've attached a source, and under these show alls, I can click and I can see all of the changes that I've made to this person. So I've changed several relationships here for Thomas.
So Ryan, sorry to interrupt, but just really quick, my understanding then that these are just your changes, not everybody else's changes, but your changes.
Yep, these are just a list of my changes for the history that I've been on FamilySearch. And so we've had lots of people wanting to kind of see the work that they've done and keep track of it. And this has kind of really become the go-to place now to do it.
Hey, could you do one quick favor for me, Ryan?
Yes, I could.
Could you click back on the following tab really quick?
Yes.
I think that's important to call out as well, that we didn't call out. So when you're on the following list, over there on the far right, when you see that changes, that's all of the changes by all people to that person.
That's true. So if we look here for Charles, who I'm following, there have been 8 changes that have taken place in the last 90 days for Charles. And I can click on this and see all of those changes right here.
And I can see at the top of that list the chip, or that button that shows me who actually made the change on the January 3rd.
Exactly. And you'll see that I was busy at the end of December making some changes here to Charles. And so forth. So the thing with this is we've given you the option in my following to filter out my changes. So if I don't want to see my changes anymore for whatever reason, I can adjust this, and I'll have to do a refresh. You see how it goes down to 4 from 8, or it goes from 8 to 4. And it looks like we may have a bug. Let's see if I refresh here. There we go. We can see that my changes are no longer a part of the list of changes in the people I'm following.
Good.
So that's a great distinction to make.
Yeah. Yeah, my contributions are just my changes. The following are all changes.
Exactly.
Okay.
So if we come back over here to my changes, we give you some ordering options. So let's say for whatever reason I want to view a list of all the changes I've made, but instead of viewing them by person, I just want to view them chronologically in the order I've made them, from most recent to earliest. I can come in here and I can click on this all changes, and it's going to reorder this list from most recent changes all the way down to my oldest changes that I've made. And I could follow this list, and it would probably take some time to load if I scrolled through the entire list, but you can see now, instead of doing it by person, we can come up here and see, okay, I made several changes to Charles in a row, or I made several changes to Glenn in a row, or to Bryce, and so forth. So that kind of gives you a different way to view this list. For whatever your research purposes are, we try to give you the thing that's going to be the most helpful to you.
Tell me a little bit about the private people.
Yeah, we'll get to that right now. So we've had a lot of requests from people wanting to have a list of private people they've created. So if I come over here, we can see a few of the private people that I've created real quick, and we can keep a list of that. So this is really common for, let's say I'm working on a census record or an obituary, and I'm not sure if the person is deceased or not. I might add them as a living person here and just kind of keep tabs on it until I know for sure that person's deceased. And rather than having to scour the tree now to go find them, because maybe they're not directly on direct line for me, I can come here and keep track of this. So an example would be Virginia Davis here, who I think came out of a census record or an obituary at some point. And I can kind of just keep track here of, okay, this is someone I'm interested in and at some point have to go deceased. So let's jump back to my contributions though. If you'll notice, every time you click on this, it starts you out on my changes, and the reason for that is we found that's probably the main focus here for most people, is to keep track of the changes. But the last thing we want to touch on is stats. If I click the stats here, you can see we keep track of the changes that you've made. So you can see I haven't been very busy in 2021, and I wasn't very busy in 2020. I was more involved in some of the other changes for the site than actual research at that time. But we break these down into different categories, like sources. You can see a lot of my changes have to do with sources or memories.
So sources would be those sources that you've attached to people.
Exactly. These are all sources I've attached, or memories that I have attached. Or we come down to people that I've created. So you can see in 2016 I was busy creating several people, but have trailed off dramatically from there. Most of my lines are pretty fleshed out, and so I spend a lot of time on the sources now. So this becomes really powerful to kind of keep track of all the work that we're doing, all the long hard hours we spend researching our ancestors.
Well, that's great. We've got 1 minute left, but that private people, also known as maybe living people, because they're private to you, because only you can see the people that you create that are living. I know that you hit it on the nail. I've created people from a census record that were born in about 1920, 1930, and now coupled with our new labels feature, I can go and find those people in this list that I may have added that I need to do more researching on to find out if they're deceased or not. So I think that's a powerful feature to be able to group all of those living people into one space so they don't have to scour the tree. That is important.
Absolutely. Well, I think we're about at our time mark, but I'm really excited for the opportunities that are coming here at FamilySearch and the things that we're improving upon. It's been a great past year, even with all the difficulties of the pandemic. But as you may have seen, the site is continually updating and improving. And I think 2021 is going to continue to bring great improvements. If I say so
I
myself.
agree. And the improvements are really based on our users, the people like yourself and those people that are listening. We love to get out and visit with you. We're doing a lot of testing now and talking with our users over the internet with Zoom and whatnot. But hopefully we'll be able to get back into your homes and into your schools and wherever we've met in the past and continue to improve our product. So thank you for your support. We hope that you'll enjoy these 2 new features. I think they're powerful and they'll help you in your research. And thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you, and have a good day.
See ya.
I'll see ya.